Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Courier Journal. Last night was obviously a busy one, election night. I'm Billy Kobin, Metro Government reporter, and I'm excited to be with Louisville Mayor-elect Craig Greenberg, a Democrat who defeated Bill Deariff in last night's election, so now official. So, Craig, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Billy. I know we're both going on just a few hours of sleep, so it's wonderful to be with you this morning.
It was a long one. Can you kind of talk to start out with about how was election night, let alone the entire day? What were some of the emotions going through your mind as everything started to come in last night?
Well, obviously ended as a great day. The hours do feel a little bit long on election day when you're nearing the end and you've done everything that your team and you think you can. And my team and I really left it all out on the field. So I'm very proud of them and appreciative for what they did and what really the entire community did. Rachel and I and my entire family were so humbled by the outpouring of support from across the entire community. And then it was great to see the results come in and be able to celebrate with family, friends, supporters from across the entire city last night at the Galt House with the governor, with the marching band, with our new U.S. congressman. There's a lot to be excited about. I know we have big challenges here in Louisville, and we will get to work on those challenges immediately. But there is reason for optimism and hope, and I'm excited to work on unifying our city and working together, whether people voted for me or not. Time for politics is over. It's time to get to work.
How is your family doing? I know it's often obviously a really kind of a big commitment when somebody runs for office to have your loved ones give up a lot of time or see you give up a lot of time. So after last night, did you have a chance to kind of talk a little bit?
We did. When we finally got home last night, we had a chance to talk and stay up even later than it already was. But I'm very fortunate to have the amazing support of my wife Rachel and my two sons Daniel and Benjamin. But it's really more than support. We truly did this as a team, and their advice and input on our campaign strategy, on issues facing their city is really important to me. And particularly, not particularly, but my sons, and they're 17 and 19 years old, but as I got to meet young people across the whole city, it became abundantly clear that we need to do a better job. All of us in leadership positions need to do a better job of listening to the young people in the city. Not only do they spot the issues that are important to all of us, but they have really creative ideas that are for solutions, and they're willing to get to work. And so whether it's my sons or other young people around the city, I'm excited to continue listening to them, involving them in the solutions, involving them in the administration and project leadership to work together to make things happen here in Louisville.
Definitely. And obviously now we have a few weeks. You don't take office right away, of course, because Mayor Fisher serves until the end of this year. So what happens now between now and January as far as getting ready, transitioning?
Well, from here, I've been at it since 5:30 this morning doing some interviews, but right after this, we'll be starting to work to put together our transition team and planning so that we are taking action starting on day one. And so over the coming days and weeks, we'll be communicating with the community about what we are doing as a transaction, on the opportunity for people to be involved in the administration, to submit ideas. All of that will be in touch in the very near future.
What needs to happen right away in January in your mind? I know you've brought up, for example, the policy aimed to make guns inoperable before turning those into KSP when they're used in crimes. Are there other things that you think really need to happen right away as far as implementing new policies or starting new things or looking at policies that currently exist?
Well, the biggest things we'll be focused on are people and priorities. So I've been talking about everything that is important to not me, but the community of what I've heard over the course of this entire campaign, and those will remain our priorities. So now it's about getting the right people in the right positions so that we have an administration that shares my sense of urgency, is focused on action, has the same foundation and values that are ready to get things done.
And I know media outlets have asked, consistently throughout the campaign about maybe some of these positions, who will serve in your administration. Are there any kind of people or positions that you anticipate kind of announcing in the next few weeks, I guess sooner rather than later? And then, of course, again, I ask, a police chief. Everybody always wonders, does Chief Shields continue serving? Of course, if she wants to. Or like that, are there some positions that you maybe look to change?
We'll be having an announcement about all those personnel matters in the coming weeks ahead. I'll be very transparent about that process and about how decisions are made and who's in what positions, but it's a little premature for that right now, and we're going to get to work right away.
Sure, definitely. In terms of hearing from Mayor Fisher, did you hear from him last night? I know he sent out a tweet congratulating you, but have you heard from him yet, or is that something obviously you anticipate hearing more from in the coming weeks?
I briefly spoke to Mayor Fisher late last night. He offered his congratulations and willingness to work with myself and our team on a smooth transition. I really appreciate that very much. I look forward to working with Mayor Fisher and his team on that transition and getting to work right away. Definitely. I expect we'll be meeting very soon.
Definitely. And I know you heard from Mayor Deariff last night. Kind of anything else you want to say in terms of how the campaign went? I know.
No, I really appreciate Mayor Deariff reaching out. That was meaningful. I think it says a lot about Mayor Deariff that he did reach out. We had a nice conversation. We each congratulated each other on a well-run, spirited campaign. Mayor Deariff cares a lot about J-Town, about the city, about the state. He's contributed in many ways through his work, not just as mayor of J-Town, but on the League of Cities. And so I expect there will be more ways that we can work together to move Louisville forward.
What do you think, voters said last night by supporting you? What type of message they sent, given that you won? And I guess when I asked that too, I think about some people were wondering, are voters going to show signs of fatigue with Mayor Fisher after serving 12 years in office and think, oh, do we go with a Republican candidate this time? But obviously, they stuck with you, supported you. Enough people seem to see that you have a vision for Louisville. But I thought I'd ask, obviously, what type of message you think voters?
Yeah, I was well. A few things. First, I was very pleased with the results last night. Mm-hmm. Our margin of victory was 3 times larger than Mayor Fisher's first victory in 2010 when he was running in similar situation in an open seat. So I think the results were very clear and very, very promising. What I took away from last night is that Louisville wants to move in a new direction. I was very clear. That's what we are campaigning on. Mayor Deariff was also campaigning on change. So I think it's clear that Louisville wants a new direction. We will be delivering on that. We will have a very big focus on how we move forward as a community. One of the things I really want to focus on is unifying the city. The time for politics is over. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, regardless of your race, regardless of what part of the city you live in, regardless of your economic circumstances, it's time for us all to come together. Everybody wants to improve public safety. Everybody wants more affordable housing. Everybody wants the kids to have the best possible education they have. We might not always agree on what the solutions are, but if we agree on those common goals, which I know we do, let's find ways to constructively work together. And when we disagree, that's okay. Let's talk it through, but let's focus on areas of commonality and make things happen here in Louisville.
And going off of that, how do you want to work with people maybe who didn't vote for you, or obviously anything from Metro Council members who are from the Republican Party, or people who may feel kind of disenchanted right now with the way that things are in Louisville? How do you want to try to bring them together when you talk about unity?
Well, I will definitely listen to them. I'll show up. We'll have conversations. I've heard from many folks already just overnight via text and email and social media who did not support me, who are Republicans who might not have supported me for one reason or another, that have reached out and said, look forward to working together. I take them at their word, and I hope they take me at my word that I'm looking forward to working with them as well. So I'll be reaching out to the members of Metro Council, regardless of political party, over the coming days, and many others throughout this community, even people who did not support me.
Metro Council is one thing that those meetings, obviously, they happen throughout the year. The mayor, of course, doesn't have to be at every meeting, similar to kind of the vice president in the U.S. Senate. But are there kind of ways you've thought about how you want to engage with Metro Council, like whether that is sitting in on more meetings or having more of a direct line of communication?
Yeah, I hope to get to know everyone on Metro Council as people, to be able to build relationships with them so we know each other well as people and can work well together. I want to work together with members of Metro Council on the issues that are important to their district and also the common issues that are important to our entire city.
I think I heard from some Metro Council members who were up for election, I would ask them, of course, about gun violence and public safety. And I know that was really the top kind of issue on the minds of many people. Are there any other policies or things that you have in mind right away that you think Louisville could, steps that Louisville could take that maybe you haven't shared them yet, but concrete proposals that you're hoping to really see get done, maybe whether that's in January or in this
Well, certainly
year.
public safety and all of short and long-term solutions are critical. We need to continue to focus on affordable housing and the homeless crisis. We need to ensure that all the $388 million of the American Rescue Plan funding has been allocated, is that being implemented, or if it's not being implemented as it was originally intended, let's find a new impactful way to implement it. So those are some of the initial things I'll be talking to members of Metro Council about.
Definitely. With the Department of Justice pattern or practice investigation still obviously pending, is that another area where maybe you see having communication with the Fisher administration, given that if they learn more in the coming weeks before you take office, it's obviously going to be important maybe for you to also start preparing for okay, this is how LMPD is going to need to change with any consent decree. So is that another area where you think
that is definitely an area that we will need to dig into right away and to understand? I expect the Department of Justice. I know what's been publicly reported that I expect to hear information soon from the Department of Justice. That will be something that myself and our team dig into very deeply and take very seriously. And we will work with the Fisher administration on that and everything else in a transition. I'm confident we will have a smooth transition, that they will be very forthcoming with information, and will do everything possible to ensure a smooth transition, because I know that Mayor Fisher and their entire administration wants what's best for Louisville and wants to set our city up for continued success.
Are there things that Mayor Fisher has done that you want to continue? And I ask because I think it is really easy, obviously, to criticize an incumbent when somebody's been in office for 12 years, and we know that Mayor Fisher was, especially this third term, kind of in office at maybe one of the hardest times for mayors around the country, given pandemic, protests, everything happening. So given how easy it sometimes is to say, well, I won't do that, are there things though that initiatives, programs started in the past 12 years that you want to see continue?
If you look at some of the things that have happened in the past few months, particularly as it relates to some of the programs through the American Rescue Plan, and it relates to affordable housing, that's one area where we need to continue. We've got good momentum. The city, under Mayor Fisher's leadership, has made historic investments, or commitments at least initially, to affordable housing investments in our city, and that's something that we need to continue to build on. I think the city did a very good job with its vaccination response in the pandemic. And so I want to continue to build on that momentum with the focus in Louisville on public health. Let's really focus on having the healthiest city in America. We should have big goals here in Louisville. And I know that's a large goal. It's not just related to things like a pandemic and disease, but it's issues like parks and air quality. And so let's continue to build on some of that momentum as well.
Is the goal with affordable housing still, when you brought that up, 15,000 new units, is that still something that you think is attainable?
That is what we are going to go for sure. That's what I've been talking about for a year and a half, and I'm not going to change the goal the day after the election. That is going to be our goal. I believe in having lofty goals and making things happen. I think we proved with the campaign that you can have an idea and make it happen, and I think the same should be true with goals for those of us who are elected officials, or really in leadership roles of any kind. I'm a big believer in striving for meaningful, transformative change.
Does some of that funding, maybe for more affordable housing, need to not only come though from public sources, but also private? And I know you have some experience that you pointed to on the campaign trail as a developer, and work with a group with bringing together maybe private sources.
I think public-private partnerships can be very helpful. They can be very powerful, and we should be leveraging public dollars, whether it's federal, state, or local dollars. We should be leveraging those with private funds to have even more meaningful impacts with the public funds that are available, because the public funds are always going to be limited.
I know we're nearing the end of our time, but I want to ask about Frankfort as well. Obviously, we see Republicans continuing to grow kind of their majority in Frankfort, especially after yesterday. Are you hearing any pushback, in terms of state lawmakers may want to try to pass laws that impact Louisville even more, or something with making guns inoperable? They would want to stand in the way of that. And then also, do you have some ideas for how you can work with state lawmakers to maybe help rather than go after Louisville?
Well, sure. First, let me start with Governor Beshear. I was honored to have Governor Beshear and Lieutenant Governor Coleman with my family and I and all of our supporters last night. I was proud to have his support. Thrilled that he introduced me last night and was there to celebrate with us, and I look forward to having a great relationship with all of Team Kentucky and the Beshear administration. In terms of the legislature, I plan on reaching out very quickly to Senator Stivers, to Representative Osborne, to Senator Julie Rocky Adams from Louisville, and others, because we need to have a strong relationship with the General Assembly. Just as I said earlier, the time for politics is over. It doesn't matter that we're of different parties. We might not agree on everything, but there are things that we can definitely find common ground on to improve the lives of people in Louisville, and that's what I'm going to be focused on.
Definitely. Well, Craig, anything else you want to add?
No, thank you for having me, and appreciate your coverage of the campaign. I think it's important that people remain connected to local issues, that they stay involved, that they ask questions, that they share their ideas, and I appreciate what you do for our community.
Well, we thank you for coming, and again, congratulations on the victory last night. Again, this is Louisville Mayor-elect Craig Greenberg, who won last night's election. For more coverage, we'll have, of course, continuing updates on results from throughout Kentucky and southern Indiana on CourierJournal.com and our Facebook and Twitter and social media pages. So thanks for everyone.